This video is to replace an earlier one I did about removing the lacquer from the brass parts on Telechron clocks. So I've got a number of rose raptures that I'm working on. I don't know if there's any other clock that has more brass. Now I'll give you the short version. The short version is, in the first video I made, I recommended using hot water out of the tap. And that does work sometimes. But what I found is using boiling water is much more effective. Now what I do is I put the parts in a tray of boiling water, let them sit there until the water loses its heat, and then take them out, and at that point I can remove the lacquer. So that's a short version. Now I'll give you a sort of longer version, what I'm talking about. The first thing I want to point out, and I don't know how much this is going to come through on video, but when we look at this rapture, these brass parts here, they're an orange color. In fact, I've had people say to me, that's the copper clock. They never made, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's not supposed to be orange. Okay, but Telechron, GE, when their advertisements, they would say gold colored. What they mean by that is polished brass. So this color here that's orange, looks like copper, is patina. Now some people are very much into patina and they think that's great, and that's cool. It's just not what I'm doing. What I'd like to do is take these clocks and try and return them to the way they were when they came out of the factory. So what I've done is gone out and invested in an electric tea kettle, and this is $15 at Walmart, max 1.7 liter. And what I do is I just take something to put the parts in, and I boil the water real fast in an electric tea kettle. And of course you don't need an electric tea kettle, you just boil water on your stove. I use this like Pyrex tray usually, pour the boiling water in. Best to put the parts in first so that you don't add them to the boiling water and get splashed with boiling water, but whatever. And like I said, I just leave them soak, usually for about 2 hours, until the water has become room temperature. And then what I do is I go and take the parts out of the water and just put them on a tray and let them dry. Now, what happens is, as it dries, this white film forms on all these parts, okay? And that's the old lacquer. So what I've done in putting it in boiling water is I've loosened the old lacquer. There might be more than one way to do this, but what I do then is I take Brasso and I just coat the parts in Brasso and let it dry. And then I go back, take a cotton ball, and wet it with a little bit of Brasso, and then just rub. And that removes all the old lacquer. It comes off as a green, black sometimes, kind of sludge. And then once I've done that, I recoat the parts with Brasso a second time, and then go in with cotton balls and do a little cleaning up with it. So this is a rapture, the parts from a rapture that I've done that too, polished up, cleaned up with Brasso. After I do that, take semichrome polish, and this is actually what I consider the polishing part. I use semichrome after I've wiped it down with Brasso. First treatment of Brasso is to remove the old lacquer. The second is to clean the brass, and then I use semichrome to polish the brass. And then finally, what I do is just use spray lacquer that you can get at Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot to coat the parts. Now, and I doubt that you're going to be able to see a difference here, but these have been lacquered. And I have been doing lacquering my parts incorrectly, so I've changed that. I used to spray 3 times. I'd spray each part, but I would wait in between each spray 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever. I found out that it's more properly done to spray the part, allow the lacquer to get tacky, and then as soon as it gets tacky, spray it again. And it comes out much better looking. If I waited in too much time in between coats, you can see the lacquer on there, and it's not supposed to be that way. So like this has been lacquered using the spray lacquer, and what you notice is, at least you can notice it if you're seeing it in person, is that the polished lacquered brass looks more like gold. Okay, so there's a comparison, side-by-side comparison, one that I worked on and one that just came in I haven't worked on yet at all. And hopefully you can tell the difference in the way the metal appears. This should be closer to what this Rose Rapture looked like when GE Telechron produced it in the early 40s. So that's a couple of tips there if that's what you're trying to do. Good luck.